Okay, better slightly late than never. Greetings, everybody. We're just a couple of minutes shy of our 8 o'clock start time today, but my presence was requested by some people that needed some help working with a Linux box because they're not super used to doing that, and that is something that I am more familiar with. So I was providing some system admin advice. But nevertheless, we are here. We are getting ready. I'm just clicking random mice on random computers in my random vicinity, making sure my water and my mocha coffee are ready to go. Fan turbines are to speed. I think we are ready to rock and roll on this stream where we will be working on fixing our pop-ups. And in particular, the ones we've been working on in the last few streams, like so. Now, I actually have some extra changes in that we're not visualizing here, but I think I've solved some problems, including how, this one says this package is a dependency, this package is currently disabled, which is not something that it normally needs to say, but there's that weird gap between them and such, and some wording things. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into this stuff right here. And hello, fellow Sublime Text Fanatics. I am, of course, OdatNurd, and welcome to this live stream of Sublime Text package development, where we are working on some extensions to my override audit package. The main focus for the stream this evening will be trying to finalize more or less how we want hover pop-ups to work when the mouse is hovered over a package name in one of the override audit reports. Here, this is a package report, but this would also work in an override report, for example, or a bulk diff report as well. And we want to provide information about the package, indicating its state. And we have done some work on that in the last couple of streams, and we're going to continue working on that tonight. And then I think that will be the last stream of this that we cover here, because more or less, I do have some HTML stuff that I'm fiddling with here, but there is going to be more coding type stuff related to this that we'll get to in just a few minutes when we get to that aspect. And then if there's any more tweaks that need to be made, we don't need to see that in a live stream. We can instead just go ahead and utilize this as we normally would. In another stream by working on something else. And we may even get into a little bit of that tonight, depending how things go. This might also be one of those streams that maybe won't be the full 2 hours. We might only go an hour and a half or so. We'll see where the mood takes us, because I don't want to get too far down the line into the next thing. There is some extra functionality we like to add in relation to that new functionality that we created. And to be honest, I can't even remember where we left off on that. Where's my mouse? Is there a create override in here? There is. The way this allows you to prompt for something and then creates the file for you. Basically, what I want to be able to do is say, oops. Oh, I moved my keyboard and now everything's all weirdo. I want to be able to do something like this, to use view package file to open a file, and then when you right click in here, it would know, and it would be able to say create override for this, and it would just sort of basically run that other command with this stuff and convert this view. And there's a couple of other changes I'd like to make to that as well. We'll get to that when the time comes. For right now, though, we are working on this. Now, this is something that I was testing in a previous stream, and I went back to using the actual code. But since I was working through actually digging into this in more detail, I went ahead and did this stuff. So if you remember events.py, this is actually something that is a part of the override audit package itself. And I have some CSS up here and various code, probably, well, we won't fix it in here because we're going to do something else, but fix the spelling errors in the other file. it ends up generating a bunch of HTML, and it's triggered by the excuse me, on hover method for override audit event listener. If you hover over text and the text is the name of a package, then it will pop up something like this. And this gives us some information. Here we can see the TypeScript package is currently disabled. It's version 3.5.1. There's an IO wrapper. It's an IO wrapper around TypeScript language services. This cannot contain overridden packages because it's not represented by both the folder and the packages folder, as well as by a Sublime package file. And then we see a version of the information that we can see right under the pop-up there, that it has a checkbox in the packages folder. We've been working on this for a bit. I took all of this code and dropped it into OA pop-up test along with some extra stuff. I basically, in the report, there is a setting that stores all of the status information about these packages when the report was generated, so that it can pop this pop-up easily without having to rescan for the package. I basically grabbed that, dumped it into a JSON file, converted it to Python, and inlined it up here in this plugin. So this is the actual representation of what that setting looks like, and it's more or less exactly this. The way that it is stashed, except of course the true and the false are lowercase instead of uppercase, or title case, I guess we would say, because this is a Python thing. This is all of the information that it has about this stuff. And there's the CSS and various code modules and stuff. And then here in my plugin loaded, and as a fact, I'll even just jump this over here for just a second. If we look here, we get the report type out of the view settings. Then we get the setting that gives us the list of packages. We get the package name that's under the cursor by extracting it. Look up to see in that setting if there's a package by that name. And if there is, we show a pop-up. And here, these lines up here are sort of priming the pump, if we will, for pretending that we got an on hover. But we can see here we get the settings for override audit report type, the same as there. We get the settings for report package out of this view. Instead of doing this, we just hard code a package because the cursor isn't necessarily on any particular thing. We get the package details. And so you can see those parts are identical. And up here, whenever this plugin loads, we apply that JSON file that we saw above, that JSON data, as the appropriate setting to this view, and we also apply a particular report type and grab the point where the cursor is, because that's where the pop-up is going to be generated, as seen over here. We use the point that was provided. So this means every time this plugin is saved, the pop-up pops. And so that makes life a little bit easier for us in testing this, because then we don't have to remember to save and then hit F5 and then focus this and then hover on Pascal to see that. We can just type Pascal like this, hit save, and boom, there's the pop-up. And you can see there's already some changes here. If I do it over here for the Pascal, we can see how these are different. There's the text primarily is different there. Instead of having that more wordy text, there's a less wordy text and that question mark that will be able to click on to be able to see that information. And then there's, of course, that same information at the bottom. Where this perhaps might be more interesting, let's try Submerge 3, because that actually has some stuff in it. Submerge 3. So I'm going to save there and hover over here, we can see what is different. Now we say version 3.0.33, there's the description. And this, instead of saying this package may contain overridden package resources, blah, 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 it says this package may contain overridden package resources. To check, view the override report. And that will be a link that you can click on to actually open the override report, which isn't something that's currently configured because I just did that earlier today. But where this really shines, I think, is if we were to hover on this, we can see all sorts of stuff in here. So if I change this text in this buffer to hyperhelp, whoops, hyperhelp core, like so, there's the information for there. Here's the information on this one. when we hover, and we can see the this is much more compact now. I cleaned up the CSS in this a bit. So now this package is currently disabled, and this package is a dependency library. The order is flipped. I like this order better. And keep in mind that those two things should never both be listed at the same time, because dependencies, it doesn't matter if they're ignored, because Sublime doesn't really load stuff from them anyway. Even if they're ignored, they can still be a dependency. So that's not usually a thing that happens, but we want it to work just in case. If I change the order of those, we can see the version text is different, the dependence is different, and overall the pop-up is a lot nicer. Now, one thing I don't really understand about this is that orange line that is underneath the name of the package. Sometimes, for some packages, in some cases, that line, which is a lower margin on the heading, or the H1 tag that wraps the name of the package, sometimes it stops at the edge of the window like it does on the right, and sometimes it shoots off the middle. And I don't know why that is the case. But by the same token, I also fixed a lot of extra white space problems by swapping from paragraph tags to divs wrapping text. And we already know that the mini HTML in Sublime can be slightly problematic. If there's any problem parsing the HTML, it's very unforgiving. It just stops where it is. It does the same with the CSS. That's part of the page as well. So if you put comments in the CSS, or the CSS is malformed, just vast parts of the pop-up just disappear seemingly randomly. So there are some issues with that. But there's a couple things I wanted to work on here. So one is we want to add a little bit of extra styling to the dependents, or in the case of, and I have to think of one that actually does this. If I said package dev has dependencies instead of dependents, but otherwise this all works out the same. So there's that. Hang on a second here. Sorry about that. Okay, so that all seems to work. There's also some other work we have to do, but one thing I do want to do is alter this stuff. Delete those, and let's delete these. This is basically a side effect of while I was cleaning up the HTML, or sorry, the CSS here, because I had a bunch of extra rules and I was sort of changing formatting a little bit. I was using that to mark which rules I had visited and which I hadn't. And while it does work with or without those, apparently, if you're a CSS guru, you don't want to have those tag names, because you want to be able to reuse these, even though in this case, I don't think that's something that we're going to be doing. So we got all that. Dependencies. Okay, so there's one other thing I was thinking of here. Oh, sorry, it's list packages. If you do this, you see the description, the version, and the URL for this particular package. So we could maybe also add the URL to this as well. I'm not sure how well that might how well that might work. We can always add that sort of stuff in later. And what we need here for the next part is a package which ships. We want, say, Erlang. Is this an example of a complete override that is expired? Yes. And closure is just overrides shipped package. Okay, so let's do closure first, or closure. I don't know how you pronounce the thing. Oops. Oh, I wonder what happened there. I think I was pushing the wrong key. So, yeah, I totally was. My bad. Jump to the bottom And if we added this to be closure like so, this package, so that says overrides shipped package up in the top the way we expect it to. Now there's going to be a little bit of, I'm going to zoom that out so we can see a little more of this. How I did this in the part up here is I made it a special span class of help that changes the font size. And when you use an anchor tag, whatever you put in the href tag gets passed to the onNavigate handler when you pop up the pop-up, which we're not currently using, but that's how we can indicate what link was clicked so we know how to follow it. And that's why this has help no override, and this has override report as two separate links. I have on my right-hand monitor, of course, this extra window with just a console. So every time I save that, or every time the pop-up pops up, it dumps out the HTML that it's generated. So I'm referring to this on the right-hand side of the screen as well. There's just not a good way, I think, to have this in here and still be able to see stuff because this has to be a distinct window. We'll see what we can do about that. I mean, I suppose maybe I could try something like this, but whoops, I don't think that necessarily, yeah, gives us the size that we want. So we're not going to bother with that. But if we copy this line, the thing that we want to modify is where the header for this is popped, which is this one. And we want to add this. Help complete override. So when it says override shipped package, there's a little question mark there. You can't have two pop-ups in the same window. I tried that. It doesn't work. Although, well, in the same view, I should say, because as we just saw, this view can have a pop-up and this view can have a pop-up at the same time. But trying to pop up a pop-up out of this pop-up doesn't work. As far as I can tell, there just seems to be no way to be able to tell where the mouse cursor is unless it's hovering over the gutter or over text. Maybe look into that later or something. I don't know. But we want to do that so that we could click on this to be able to see what it means to be for it to be overriding a shipped package. And if we jumped also down to this and swapped this to Erlang, the same thing happens and it says expired. So maybe we want to do it in that order instead. Maybe we bring those back. So it's still, oh, whoops, I did that the wrong way. Is complete expired, and then the help question mark at the end. And that may, excuse my fumbling of my headset, may require some additional coloring. That part's still up in the air. That's not something that we're not going to just sit here and watch me try various colors for things. Like right now, the links for things are green because they normally default to sort of a blue color that's very similar to this bluish color that we're using for this stuff. And that makes these look like links when they're not. So I differentiated that. So maybe that should be the blue and this should be changed. I also removed the underline from it. Maybe that's not what we want. Maybe we do that a little differently too. That's all the sort of meta styling, if you will, that we don't necessarily care about. But here we can see, we say this package cannot contain overridden package resources, and it can't, of course, because there's a shipped package and an installed package, but there's not an unpacked package. And because there's not an unpacked package, this can't contain overridden package resources, even though it's a complete override of a package. Diff, on the other hand, can, and if we did it over here, this may contain overrides, right? So if I was to come down here and swap this to be diff instead, then we can see that it says this package may contain overridden package resources. To check, view the override report. And you can click that theoretically, and that would pop up an override report. that's the two things I wanted to put there. When it comes to dependence, this bit here, this is finding the information, so we don't care about that per se, but what we do care about is, whoops, I wanted to do the reference, excuse me. We're in the pop-up. Oh, yeah, it's going to screw us up every time, isn't it? We want to view the reference to it in OA pop-up test like so. Dep list. So this is joining the items in that list with that. I think it's either the list of things that this depends on, for example, and does this have any? No, it doesn't. Package dev does though. So package dev has dependencies, pyaml, pathlib, sublimelib, and dependencies themselves have lists of the packages that they are dependent on. There's maybe we could even make this so that those are things you could click on to see the pop-up for that. That's actually kind of an interesting idea. Maybe we investigate that. Um, hmm. If that's the case, now I was thinking that one of the things we have to do here is modify how this works so that you can click on links to make stuff happen. And like I said, there can't be a pop-up that pops up a pop-up on top of the pop-up. There's no exhibit here. So what we have to do is, let's close this file. We don't need it anymore. I think I still have it open over here. No, I don't. Update pop-up. You can call show pop-up to show the pop-up, and you can call update pop-up with content to update the contents of the pop-up that's already visible. And I already did tests on this. Stuff like the flags and the height and the on navigate stuff, that's all retained when you call update pop-up. It literally just takes different HTML and crams it in to that thing. So what if um, okay, let's think about this for just a second, because what we're going to do is add an on navigate handler, and that's going to get as its argument, I think, as we can even see here, it's a callback that should accept the string content of the href attribute of the link that was clicked. So here, this would be like that override report text, and the navigate would get invoked, and then we'd know that's what that meant, right? If you clicked on one of the question marks for help, the help would display, it gets unique links for that. So what if we actually did want to be able to swap this for, if you did this and you clicked on pyaml, what if this was a link and when you clicked on it, the pop-up changed to this? And then you could click on package dev to go back the other way. That's interesting. Let's table that for now. So we know this package can't contain overridden package resources, and with the other thing, Sublimerge 3, I believe, should be able to. It may contain, but you can't tell. The reason it's doing that is that when the report type is package report, all this this gathers the information on the package, including knowing that it has an unpacked folder, but it doesn't do the work of figuring out what things are overrides and what things aren't, the way that an override report does. For example, like so. We'll see when I do it here, we get different information. It contains one overridden package resource file, and that's all you see, right? And then this one doesn't have any information at all, and this one knows that there's 23s, 23 exist in the package folder but don't exist in the Sublime package, and it has one override. And I think if there's an expired one, it also does something there too. So let's go ahead and go to the package directory and go to the test package and touch date equals 10 years ago readme, like so. So if I refresh this report, now that is expired, and when you hop this, it says 20. It says one overridden resource file. Of those overrides, one have been updated in the underlying Sublime package file and may need to be checked to see if they're out of date. And 23 exist in the folder for this package, but don't exist in the Sublime package file. So that's how that information displays here. And the reason that this can do that and this report can't is because in order to know that there are overrides, we have to scan the unpacked folder to find all of the files and then examine the contents of the Sublime package file to see what files there are, and then do a set intersection on the two to see what files appear in one that don't appear in the other. If it appears in the package, but if it appears in the unpacked folder but not in the package, then it's one of these. And if it appears in both of them, then it's an override. And then if it is an override, it has to do a file system stat to get the most recent, the latest modification date of the file and of the Sublime package file to know if it's expired. So that's a lot of work, and we don't want to do that just for a simple package report. So that is totally triggered by this setting and what this returns. And if we did here, we could see that this says override audit, report packages, the value, oh, whoops, that's the wrong one. Report type, I copied the wrong one. Like so, colon overrides is the name of that. So we could like maybe copy and paste that and swap this to be overrides. I think I can't remember if I gathered all the package information, how I did that. So this may not, it's got all of that bit. Okay, so there we go. One overridden package resource. Let's try it with test package, because I can't remember when I generated the JSON file if I did it on one of these reports or one of the other ones, or if I manually did it. It was a few days since I did it, so let's see. We'll know if we do test package. One overridden resource, one exists in the package but doesn't exist in the Sublime package file, which I guess is probably that. Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I totally did it from the packages report because the metadata in this report works differently. Here, the list of the numbers are the actual count, and in the other one, it's just one if there are any and zero if there aren't. So there's no way for it to know otherwise. So let's just go ahead and leave that there for the time being so that we can say what is an example closure. No description provided. It has no information whatsoever about overrides, which is what we hope and like to see. So if I did C++, okay, so we want to change that text as well, and that comes from this. Override details. If it can have overrides, you either say that it may or it may not. Otherwise, you get to see this. And they're all like different blocks of stuff. So let me think about this for just a tick and maybe drink some of this coffee. I'm keen on knowing that no matter how hot it gets and how much the fan is required to keep things livable in here, I still drink coffee anyway. So we used to say, okay, this package may contain overrides. To check, view the override report. This package cannot contain override resources. Cannot contain overridden package resources. Now here we want to say this package contains, well, we might say overrides is that spelled right? No. Is there even a way to spell that? I guess there is. Package resources, and then we might say we would say span class equals expired class. And then we might say expired potentially expired. Do that so we can do this. Help expired. And like that. Okay, let's dump those out there like so. So that contains, this package contains overrides, yes. Expired class, expired, yes. So that's all the content of that div, but this file didn't provide any nice information for. So let's maybe jump down, say test package. Da, 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 ba, 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 da, 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 da. You can also do this. If I hover over it here, we can see that there's one overridden package, one expired, 23 unknown. So one expired, one 23 unknown. 23 unknown, one override, one expired. So one overridden package resource, one potentially expired. And we're getting some white space there that we don't want to get. I thought white space wasn't significant. Should have known. Okay, but that's given us some nice, we're at the 1800 mark or so for fiddling with that. Roundabout. That's the pop-up header. No, a little further down. This right here. So we're going to join that. We're going to do that. One overridden package resource, one potentially expired. We need to maybe style this a little bit. Now, if we hover over test package over here, we're not seeing the rest of the pop-up, so that means this HTML is broken in some fashion. And that's why it's not doing what we think. Overrides overridden package resources, span class equals span slash span. Let's indent this. Okay, so we're getting at least as far as there. I'm not getting any errors in the console when I do this. Span class equals expired potentially expired. Have potentially expired. I'm not sure why that is broken, to be perfectly honest. What if I took this part out? Nope. If I take this part out, and it comes back. Okay, and then it goes away. So let's see. Nope. One of those two. What the heck is wrong with this? Oh, there's no closing span. I think is the issue there. There we go. 1 overridden package resources. One overridden package resource. One has. Oh, we got to change that too. One. Maybe we'll just remove that. One overridden package resource, 2 overridden package resources, 1 potentially expired. Maybe we want that, maybe we don't. And then we say we do want that to be on a new line. So we might say unknown package resources not in source package. So that, but this is a bit of a but. Let's change this to a span and move it up here. So yeah, see, that does something that we don't necessarily want. There we go. One overridden package resource, 1 potentially expired, and 23 package resources not in. Okay, so maybe I'm going to grab this and pull it down here. And maybe say that so it goes like so. 1 overridden package resource, 1 potentially one potentially expired. I gotta do a little bit of that. Oh, I see. Yeah, because I moved it down here. And then instead of that, we might change this to view diff. View differences. And instead of help expired, it might be diff report instead. So like so. So the theory being, if you click that, you get a bulk diff report for the single package that this is. I think, as it stands, that's probably pretty good. Again, discounting how it would annoy me that that's 1 overridden package resources when it should say 1 overridden package resource. And 23 resources not in source package. 23 unpacked resources not in not found in source package in 23 unpacked resources not in the source package. Few differences. Now, I guess the real bediddle here is that if I did a bulk diff of test package, it does show up in the diff report, which is one of those things where I was thinking, like, I don't know, should it not? I like the idea that it's here specifically for reasons like this. We can easily see some stuffs here. So we're going to say that is probably good for that. And maybe we will also, well, not counting those spelling mistakes, because there are a lot of them packed into this thing, and those are all things that aren't interesting. See, don't care. Whether it's a dependency, that is 100% spelled incorrectly. Whoops. All right, when it's selected, that doesn't do what you think. Okay. basically we want to fix typos. That only fixes one, doesn't it? Yeah. I remember people being unhappy about that in the past while we're working on the text so we don't have to do it later. Oh, wow. That's been spelled wrong for an extended period of time and I never noticed it, so that's mildly embarrassing. And you can only misspell so much stuff. And that's a comment and that's a comment. Alrighty. Look, it's in installed packages folder. Okay. So, what was the next part of this? Something that has dependencies. So, say for example, terminus, like so. We maybe want each of those dependencies to be a link to the pop-up for this particular package. In which case, we want to find the appropriate thing, which is the reference, the definition of this here gets this. So I think we might need to swap this here. No matter what we do with dep list, however we get it, it's either the dependence of something. For example, if this is a dependency, then the dependence is the list of packages that reference it. And if it is a package like terminus, then it's the list of dependencies that this has. Either way, it's just a list of strings. And we're basically, if this is a dependency, then we just choose a different title and get the information a different way. I think what we want to do is something like this. Oh, actually, we want to do it this way. Href equals package colon %s, and then that, and then no, we'll do package and then package like that. Dot format package equals dep for dep in dep list. Okay. So that was if it's a dependency. So if we have to do it the other way, don't we? So we'll copy this to here. Does it really matter which of these it is? No, actually, I guess it doesn't. So I don't even need to worry about that. I was just thinking that this could be package colon or dependency colon, but that's not strictly needed. Oh, but that is incredibly unhappy because I forgot that. Pipe process, pipe, and that. So those seem to be doing something nice. And if we jumped to down here and swapped this to, let's say, Sublime lib, then dependence is dependence package dev. Boop. Okay. So that gives us some nice action here. Now, all this requires is to get the package details from the view setting. I was sort of thinking about how we might go about how we want this to work. This is semi tricky, maybe. So I guess this is one of those things where we'll just try to work it out and see what's this thing over here, what it turns out to be, and then we'll know how well it works or not. So that we can adjust as appropriate. Because you know that when we call show pop-up, we're getting the view to show it in, the point to show it at, a list of package details, and whether or not it's detailed so that we know how to expand it. Right? So what if we said render pop-up with view and, well, I guess, yeah. We'll do it this way just to see. We won't pass in package details, but we will package name and is detailed like so. Just because that swaps. Is this loading properly? My console's way behind in the other window. Let's see. Yeah, okay. What we're gonna want to do. Maybe change this to link name like so. Now we need to gather how do we want to do this? I'm thinking the link name will be the link from the href, and because in that thing we just created, this has package and a colon in front of it, which we know we're not doing for anything else, and colons aren't valid in package names. That anything that starts with package colon is the name of a package. So we might say if link name, we'll see if we need all of those extra arguments later, starts with package like so, then I guess we definitely want to say not that one, but this one. Copy, we'll do this. If the link name starts with package, then link name equals link name. And I can never remember if this is that's the wrong way. We want it at the start. It should totally make sense. But so if the link name we were given starts with the text package, then link name equals that. We swap the link name out. Change the link name to be the actual name of the package. Then we call that. And then we say we got to do what we did down here. That and that. For the time being, let's put this here just because that may be useful elsewhere. Is this we'll say return none if package details is none else underscore whatever the, let's close that, whatever this returns as the body, which is underscore expand details in the view we were given with the package details we just have and is detailed. And return none in that case. We might say Now here, we will say that when we call show pop-up, then we're gonna have to maybe swap this a bit. We'll see how this all works out. Like right now, that should have no effect on anything, right? Instead of show pop-up, we're going to change this to link name as well. So now it's broken. It doesn't do what we want. And when we call this, we don't call it with package details. We call it with the text package colon plus package details dot name. Let's say not dot name. This one. I always fall into the Lua trap of assuming, in Lua, package details and name in square brackets like this is the same as package details dot name. That's just sort of a syntactic sugar, and I always screw that up. Okay, so global name package details is not defined in what? In line 18888, which is this one. Oh, right. Because we're gonna pass it link name. Oops, link name instead. Now stir object has no attribute get. What did I do? Let's trace it from down here. We have the name of a package. We try to get it. I guess we don't have to do it this way. We could just say this, I would assume. Is that actually a value in this thing? It is, isn't it? I mean, it would have to be. It's the key. So it doesn't actually, it does have a name. Yeah, all right. And it dang well better be that because that's how we popped it. So we'll just keep it that way for now. So when we call show pop-up, we're giving it a string of package details plus that and that. So when we save it and it fails on details.get metadata. And I think that's because we're doing this part wrong. This shouldn't be calling expand details. It should be calling, let's say, body equals render pop-up view point link name is detailed. Detailed. If body is not none, then do this. And instead of all of this business, body is just body, like so. So now global name package name is not defined. Global name package name? Where is this happening? In line 1881. Oh, whoops, that should be link name. There we go. So that's doing sort of what we want, like so. So that's good. And then, we'll see how we can refactor this, because what we want is an on navigate equals lambda href. And we're going to call underscore pop-up link. And we're going to pass it the href, the view, the point. Well, I'll say, yeah. We'll see if we need that, and is detailed, like so. And then we need another one of those. Okay, so now if I click on this, it should explode pretty hardcore. And it does, because that name's not defined. But if we were to say def underscore pop-up link, like so, and this had href view point link name and is detailed. We're going to see something very similar to this. The body is this. But yeah, instead of link name, we pass href. So we're going to remove href from here. We're going to swap this to be link name. We're going to remove that, and here we're going to say href. We'll see how well this works for us in the general case. So clicking on the link is basically calling this function, which does nothing right now but render the pop-up. So we'll watch this. I'm going to save this. We can see down here, well, maybe we'll do this so we can see it a little better. Okay, save here. The pop-up we see is for Sublime Lib. And we can see that here. And if I click on, I'll scroll this down and click on package dev, we see this swapped because this is an installed packages folder. And if we scroll this up, we can see that it says package dev there now. So that part worked. And then we can say if body is not none, view.update popup. And the thing we're going to update it with is the new body. I don't think that's technically correct, but yeah, that's what I thought. This needs to have more stuff in it because this is calling package popup.popup. It needs this part. My bad. So that. Okay, so if I do that, then I can click on package dev, and that shows us package dev, and then I can click on PyYAML, and I can click on package dev. I click on pathlib. I can pick on package dev. I can pick on Sublime Lib. I can go to package dev. Now, that's all of those links. There's other links that can actually happen here that maybe don't cause this to happen. This is going to return none if it doesn't understand what the link is, right? So if we look for a href and do that and that and that and that and that, okay, that's all of them. And then we do that to copy them and come back to, I went too far. I went too far. This one. Help complete override is going to be something. That one doesn't count. Override report is one. There's two helps, override report and diff report. So we need different stuff for these, right? If the link name starts with package, then immediately do that. We'll return none if we don't know, and then the link just sort of goes nowhere, and clicking on the package that we don't know what it is just goes away. That will save us from the situation where when the pop-up happens, let's comment all this out for the time being. When the pop-up happens, this happens. If something happened outside of Sublime while the pop-up was open to remove package dev so there's not a package, then clicking on this, well, I guess it would still work, but yeah, okay. In any case, we're protecting ourselves from trying to do stuff we don't think we should do. Then, okay, we're just going to return none, but here we're going to say help complete override and help no override. We're going to swap both of these, all of those, to be this. So there's that. And if we look for help underscore, that's this, help no override, help no override, help no override, like so. Just to change what those links look like, because we can do the same sort of magic as this. If link name dot starts with help, then link name len help return none. Okay, because there's going to be help. So well, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Okay, let's say we'll say help is equal to help text is equal to underscore help dot get link name none. Return none if help text is none else. I guess just help text. That's the way we're going to do it. Then we don't even have to do that. We can just return underscore help that, because it's either none or the thing, and it'll do what we want. And then at the top we would have an underscore help is equal to, and here complete override the help regarding complete overrides, and whoops, no override as a link would be the help for when there are no overrides or something. I can't remember what it was supposed to look like. Get rid of those two things. We can grab this. Now this file has a ridiculously long content because I'm inlining all of that data, but we'll put this here. And it's unhappy about that pretty hardcore because I forgot that. There we go. So in theory, the help regarding complete overrides. So what is a complete override? Let's say Erlang. I click this. We get anything magic there? No, we don't. That's weird. We'll worry about that in a second. But that's sort of how the help would work. And the other ones we don't care about. But in pop-up link, if link name is equal to override report, this is where we're going to print, okay, open the override report. You could actually just say view.window.run command override audit. Why is it not popping that? Oops. That one. Oh, that's view differences. That's the diff report. That's unhappy. I need to swap these two lines around so that we're getting that one. Check the view the override report. Let me click it, and it says open the override report in the console. So that part's working. Not the command though, but that's not surprising. If I was smart, I would totally know what the name of the override report command actually is. No, it's this. Why did that not do anything? Isn't that what I put here? No, I can't spell. All right. Boop. Hey, check that out. I wonder why it went in that tab. Oh, because I already had one there. Right. Cool. Okay. That part works good. We don't need that anymore. Elif link name equals, and the other one is diff report. Open diff report. Okay, so if I did that, we need to, again, in this case, in this one, it says it may contain resources, and if you want to know, you need to check the override report because it doesn't have the information to tell, so clicking that would totally open it. And the override report can only be done for all packages with overrides and not for a specific one. If, on the other hand, it looked like that, then we could say view differences, and when you click that, the console is saying open diff report. We can see it there every time I click it. So what we need is to know that file I just closed. Not that one. I guess I didn't technically open this one, did I? Bulk diff single package. Override audit diff single. Well, let's check the source for this. Commands. Diff single. Override audit diff single. Right on. You can pass it the name of a package and or the name of an override. So we need to say package equals something. So override audit diff single. Override audit diff single. So if we said view.window.run command override audit diff single and said package diff, in this case, which isn't the package we actually have, but when you click it, it's prompting, huh? That might not be the right thing for that then. Diff report, I guess. Override audit diff report. Yeah. Diff single override. Should have known. We'll swap this to test package like so. So if you click this, boop, you get the diff report for that. That's pretty handy, I think. Now the problem is we need to be able to know what package this is from here, which we could do by trying to keep the link name, or we could just change the link that this generates. Link name dot starts with diff report colon. Then we could say package equals link name len diff report colon and swap this for package like so. If it's not one of those two things, then it's just a regular pop-up. So if we check that, nothing's going to happen because that's not what it looks like right now. But if we look for, whoops, if we look for diff report, this can say colon package like so. And we can say package equals details name. And then that does what we want. Beauty. Now we can cycle back to, oops, what did I just do? Oh, that's correct. Okay, save that. We can cycle back to if this was the package list, then this may contain overrides, and you have to click that to see, which is what we expect. Now, if we used Erlang here, then when we click this, we really should see, I would guess, the help for whatever that thing is. So if we did this, it should, oh, the topic is just, oh, I was afraid that was going to happen. G colon complete override. Really? Shoot. You know, as I was making that change, I was scared that that's what was happening. Find G colon. Uh-huh. This should be help complete override. So that should do something now. The help regarding complete overrides. It needs to be able to jump back too. So that's maybe something to worry about. And what was the other? Help. I guess if I looked at this thing, I'd be able to know this. Help underscore no override. This package cannot contain. Oh, right. So if this was text, then this package cannot contain overridden package resources. And if you click that, the help for when there are no overrides or something. The help for when this package can't contain overrides. There we go. So that's the two help links done, except that in this, we still want to be able to navigate back to the package that was visible at the time that this happened. So that you could say, what's this? And then when you click it, it tells you, and then maybe you might want to go back. Or maybe you don't want to go back. I don't know. For the body, we want something like whatever overrides is. Let's say dot help text. Font size 0.9 rem and margin. Okay, that's not going to technically do anything at all right now. But if I did this and said div class equals, and maybe swapped this to be this, and swapped this to be this, and swapped this to be, oh, swap that and that to be that. Clearly, there's more work to be done there. I'm not going to work on that in the stream here because we don't need to see me writing help. I just wanted to actually just sort of do what I want, and then I can fiddle it later. Help underscore text was the div class on those. So if I did this, the help for when this package contains overrides, it's got a nice little hover on it, and maybe we want that to go back, and maybe we don't. So maybe we fiddle that first. There's not technically a way to go back right now, except that if you click on dependents, you go to the package and that package can bring you back. It's the worst case scenario is you hovered over it, you clicked on the help, and then you had to hover over it again after you were done. So maybe that's not that terrible as an item. Let's finish off this coffee while we ponder our dilemma. Go gadget caffeine. Okay, well. Maybe we don't even want that margin, realistically. Realistically, maybe we don't want that margin, and then the help has the same. No, actually, I think I like that a little bit better. Here we're seeing a lot more information, so if it's just going to be help text, that's a little better. The real trick here is, turn the sidebar off, zoom this. If we wanted to have a link in here, we'd have to know the name of the package and it would have to be expanded in the help. Which means, whoops, don't do that. That's the thing I keep accidentally doing. Let's close this. Control page up and, oh, I swapped my focus when I didn't mean to. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, we're in the wrong one. We want this one. Honestly. Okay, so at the point where we use underscore help, which is render popup, we need to know the name of the package that what is being displayed at the point where this render popup is called, and render popup is called from popup link and show popup. Here it doesn't have one, but that doesn't matter. In popup link, it would be happening here. I guess. Show pop-up only happens once. Pop-up link happens multiple times, right? So we might say last link equals none. Nothing changes there. So when it's called from here, it doesn't have a last link. But then it would have to call it in. Just thinking anywhere where this is called, it would be passed to render pop-up. Show pop-up calls it with none. This calls it here. It just updates the pop-up. There's no way to do that. It would have to stash it in a global. So we're not going to worry about that per se. The other way to do it would be to modify the help link so it was help topic the name of the package that it originally came from. That's not too terrible, realistically. I don't think. So let's see about that. If we search for help there's one here. And we might say this. Oh. Name, because that's the name of the package. It's exactly the thing we want in that case. So if we test it for those packages, it won't work. And then we would say the other help colon happens here, where we would say package and then dot format package equals details name. Okay, so this now does not work because the help topic isn't recognized. But that does mean if we came all the way back up to here, we could say that, and of course, again, this code would look miles nicer in the general case. The help for when this package can't contain overrides, like so. And then we would say ahref equals package back, like so. Copy that, paste it here, like this. That is very, very unhappy because I stupidly didn't do that. That part's happy now. So that the help has that and assumes it's going to get the name of a package. So when we look at underscore help, like so, now we do need to say help text is equal to help.get link name none, and return none if help text is none, else help text dot format package equals package. And if the link name starts with that, then the link name is equal to this. And now the link name is going to be the name of the help topic followed by a colon. So topic package equals link name dot split on those, let's say. Help get topic and that. Okay, let's see what this does. Anything? The help for when this package can't contain overrides, and if we click back, we go back to text, just as we might like. So this can't contain overrides, so we see that. And if we jump to the bottom and swap this to Erlang, then when we click this, we see help regarding complete overrides. And when we go back to Erlang. That's a pretty, I think, nice-ish way to pull that off. The code could use a little bit of cleanup. We're not going to worry about that here. But I think that is the bulk of what we want this to do. So, in the world of the purely theoretical, if I pop that over here, let's do some stuff here. So we definitely don't want that. We do want the help, and we do want the CSS, like so. So we'll copy that and replace that with CS up to CSS. And we have an extra package pop-up. So we'll get rid of that. Okay, that is that part done. And then here's the bit where we're going to say we want this, because I may have changed any amount of code in here. We paste that in. Pop-up header, I definitely changed this some, so we'll copy that and replace that with this. Whoa, what did I do? All right, I guess that's okay. Metadata, copy this one and paste it here. I have the requisite two lines. Yes, okay. Can have overrides. See how different that is. That's this one over here and this one over here. Override details has surely changed. Like so. I'm sure the footer didn't change. We'll say footer expand. Pop-up footer, expand details, render pop-up, pop-up link, and show pop-up. Well, we'll leave that one out for now. So this is that. And I copied, starting with pop-up footer. So from here all the way to here is replaced with this. This should have one of those. This should have one of those. And when it comes to show pop-up, I think, yeah, we'll just copy, with location point 1024, 512. It has an on navigate. So yeah, we'll copy this in and we just need to make sure we uncomment that thing there because we actually want that to be in play, I think. Well, we'll see. To save that, we're going to reload. Really? Hang on. Okay, reload. Well, the focus is in the right place. This should totally be considered a package. You know what? We'll just go ahead and quit Sublime and restart it. Get it nice and fresh. That's the pop-up from our plugin, so we don't need to worry about that. But we did not see what we got here. If we reload this, global name link name is not defined. Foop. That is in line 332. It's this one. Show the right. Viewpoint link name changed and is detailed. And of course, when I changed it down here, it should be there may be even more magic that has to happen here, but this should be package plus package name, like so. Okay, let's try that now. Reload this. No description provided. This package may contain overridden package resources. To check, view the override report. Okay, here's the override report. That part's working. Package control loader. We see this package can't contain override resources. So we can click that, doop, and see this is for when packages can't contain overrides, and go back to package control loader. So that's working pretty nice. Let's see what else we got. Erlang, this package cannot contain overridden package resources. And why? Because this, for when it can't contain, if we were to look at diff, this package may contain override resources. Check view the override reports. So that part seems to be working good. If we came down to Snappy, we can see it has a dependency of HyperHelp core. And if you click that, we get to see this is a dependency library. This package is currently disabled. The CSS for this is still wrong, and I don't know why, because it wasn't doing it over there. I'm not sure what's up with that. We'll have to fiddle with that a little bit more, but I can click on HyperHelp Author. If I went to HyperHelp Author and did this, then we come back to HyperHelp Author. And if I go to HyperHelp Core and pick Snappy, then I click this and I go back to Snappy. So that part's all working. So the only thing, why is that the case when it wasn't the case here, is something we might be curious about. Also, we might be curious how hard I'm going to sneeze. I guess not at all. All right. So the question, I guess, that remains for us is, if this was HyperHelp core, that stuff bunches like that. Let's move that over here. And here, it doesn't. But why is that the case? Because the CSS is the same. I would have thought. Did I not copy the CSS into the other file? Because I thought I did. I'm not above copying it a second time, though. Again, we'll just go ahead and reduce that, and let's do this. This will be a little easier, maybe. Yeah. When in doubt, you should have indented the whole dang thing. That would have made that a lot easier. Let's copy all that. Copy events. CSS. I mean, this sure looks like stuff that's new, because that was new, but huh. The refresh command is totally doing something from here when it shouldn't. So that's something I'm going to need to fix. How about this? No? Huh. That's weird. Okay, let's quit and restart one more time. And we're going to close this console window on the other desktop because we don't care about that one anymore for the purposes of this. Da-da-da. Really don't understand why it's doing that. I mean, hey, wait a minute. These aren't supposed to be p tags. Did I do something stupidly wrong? What was that thing? Those are supposed to be spans. This package is, see, yeah, this package is currently disabled as a dependency library. Oops. This package, that's a P. Why is that the case? What the hell happened here? Oh, okay. So pop-up header did not get copied. Did I not? Maybe that was one of those ones where I copied it and pasted it and I didn't do it as much as I thought I did. Metadata. That looks like it's right. Can't have overrides. Looks right. All right, so I think in that case, we quit one more time and restart. Now it should work a little better. Yeah, all righty. That's some sweet, sweet action right there. Okay, that is pretty boss. And there was one other thing that applies to this, and we're not going to see it in the stream here because we're going to, I think, unless something untoward happens, skip to something else in next week's stream. But I had a theory that when we call the in here in the package info load metadata, you notice we get package metadata. If it's a dependency, we do that. We try to load the data. Um, the default metadata for a package is an empty. So I think what we want here is something like self.metadata equals default metadata for the name self.name. Self dot is dependency, something like this, okay? And then there would be a function at the top that takes this, and there would be a pack-in dictionary, the same as there's a giant pack-in dictionary at the top of this for all of this package info in this report for our test purposes. Somewhere in the package, there would be something similar to this that has metadata information for package metadata for default packages, for real packages that ship with Sublime. So if you hover over this, instead of saying no description provided, it would say the Lisp package that ships with Sublime, for example. And there would also be version information, and it would say the version of Sublime Text that this comes from. And there would be one of those for each of the packages that ships with Sublime, because those are packages that don't otherwise have stuff. Now, not all packages will have. That's why this version has unknown and no description provided, because I have an unpacked copy of that package. But language English, all the shipped packages should have that kind of metadata. But that's something I'm going to work on behind the scenes. Again, like I said, unless something untoward happens and we decide to come back to this for next week's stream. But on the whole, I'm really happy with how this worked out. So I'm going to need to do stuff like, I need to, one more thing that I need to change here. Indeed, the this needs to be different than that. Okay, I'm gonna have to close this report for now so I can actually load this thing. Hey, wait a minute. How is it even going to do that? Maybe this isn't a bug. Maybe this is something stupid I did myself. I'm not sure. It should be able to refresh a report that doesn't exist. Unless there's a tab that somehow got funky, cold Medina or something. I'll just double check that. User default keys. F5. Specifically for is to reload the package we're working on. Override audit report view, operand false. Where is that coming from? Whoops. Contexts. Override audit report view. View settings get has override audit report type. Oh, haha, I know why. It's because of this thing. Um, every time, okay, that's okay. Every time you save this, it jacks that setting into the active view, whatever it happens to be. So we need to close that and reopen it, and close that, and close that, and close that, and close that, and reopen it. And then when I push the key, then it reloads the package. Right on. Yeah. I knew that was an unfortunate thing. Anyway, I'm happy with the way this is currently working. And we can even see in here, there's two overridden resources, and we can view the differences there and see the same thing there. Maybe we don't want to see view differences there, but if you do it, it just refreshes the current report. See, that's 21, 42, 32. 21, 42, 41. That's just an implicit reload there. And here we can do the same thing. See more infos. One overridden package resource, one potentially expired, 23 unpacked resources not in the source package. View differences. Okay, and maybe there could be some more help in here, but on the whole, very happy with how all of this is working. So I'm just going to tweak up some styles, tweak up some colors. We're not going to see working on this again. I don't think we got to add in the ability to have default package information for stuff like that. But that is all we have for tonight's live stream. We're going to go a little bit shorter than per usual by about 15 minutes. And starting in the next stream, we'll work on finishing. I'm working towards a 2.1 release of Override Audit, and I think that's mostly going to be cleaned up versions of this, make sure that the functionality we've done in previous streams, like reverting overrides, works. And I want to extend create override in that manner that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. And then we'll be ready for a 2.1 release, and we can continue to maybe add some hover pop-ups to override names to provide operations for them instead of context menu items. That, however, is the topic of subsequent videos to this one. So if you have been, thank you so much for watching. If you're watching this live, if you are watching this in the replay that's stashed afterwards, welcome in memoriam. You can always if you subscribe to the channel, you should be able to get notifications when I'm live and I schedule the next stream at least a day in advance, but generally a week in advance. It's usually on a Tuesday, unless at 8 p.m. PST. If you would rather have shorter, more focused videos, I have another channel linked in the description where every Monday I come up with videos. If you have any suggestions or questions or comments on any of the videos on either of my channels, topics you'd like me to cover in a video, topics you'd like to cover in a live stream, well, if you want to, you can pop into the live stream while it's live streaming and ask questions in the chat, and if I can, I will answer you. And in other cases, you can leave comments in the comment section below or hit me on Twitter at OdatNurd with your questions. But until that next live stream, this is OdatNurd thanking you for watching and asking you to please have a sublime day.